Have you ever wondered why some writers draw you in, making you read their first, second, and third book, and as soon as they release a new book, you're the first one who goes and buy it during the pre-sale before it even gets out in the market? Well, it's all about voice or style, a mixture of both, which I will go into later. But this is why we find some writers just stuck in our head, where we even find it easier for us to reread work that we read before. Well, today I will be talking about 5 tips on how to develop your own writing style or voice in your writing. This way you can leave an imprint in people's mind when they read your work and they have the desire to come back and read more. Hi friends, my name is Mohamed and I'm a writer, and in this channel I talk about writing, reading, books, and productivity and everything that's lighthearted about life. But before we get started, I just want to define the difference between voice and style so that you can understand where I'm coming from when I'm talking about both things separately. Now, granted, this is my own definition of both words, and of course I have a background in creative writing, I have a master's degree, so I know a thing or two about the difference between the two. First, let's start with voice. Voice, it communicates your personality, is the thing that comes through your writing when it comes to your tone, your perspective on a certain topic. It sort of defines you as a person from your stance, and it's sort of a filter. When you filter any subject through who you are, it comes through your writing in terms of voice. Now, for example, if it is when it comes to your writing tone, is it serious? Is it humorous? Is it fast? Is it slow? What is the tone of your writing? That sort of communicates your voice. Now, also touch on your sort of perspective. Are you writing from a perspective of a African American? Are you writing from a perspective of a Muslim American? Are you writing it from a perspective, the story that is, of someone who is, I don't know, an immigrant? That perspective also plays on your writing voice. Now, the last one that also makes a voice is less tangible, but is your personality. What sort of personality are you communicating in your writing? Is it, for example, for me, the personality that I try to communicate, or the voice that I try to communicate, it's like the Yemeni sort of personality. I want people, when they read my work, they feel like, oh, this is not only a story about Yemen or Yemenis, this is a story written by someone who is from Yemen. But enough about me, I'll give you a better example. If you take Toni Morrison as a writer, her voice is very passionate, it's very lyrical, very poetic, and it's deep and it's tragic at the same time. You feel like there's a cloud over the writing that's sort of like covering or overseeing everything. Of course, I'm thinking about Beloved primarily here, but if you compare her to Hemingway's voice is not that it's not emotional, but is less passionate, is more punchy, is more to the point, is more character, or not even character driven, but structure driven. When you read Hemingway, you can't say he's poetic. There is no way. He is more like economical, yes, but he's not poetic, and he's more direct as opposed to Toni Morrison, who is there's a lot of implication in her voice, so you have a lot of room for interpretation. Now, when it comes to style, is more of the technical part of their writing. I'm referring to sentence structures, word choice, grammar, even literary devices. Those things make the style of the writing. The way to think about it when you compare it to voice is that the style is the vehicle that delivers your voice. Without the style, nobody will hear or resonate with your voice. So if you think about voice is the what makes you as a writer is the voice, and the style is how you do the thing that makes you you. So let's go back to Toni Morrison and Hemingway. Toni Morrison, she is very passionate, like we said earlier, but very long-winded. I mean, her sentences are long, not all of them, but generally speaking, they're very layered. The ideas are very expanded. There's a lot of room for you as a reader to go in there and appreciate the writing for the writing itself. Just, you know, how musical and long and layered it is. But when you compare it to Hemingway just very economical. He's like the father of short sentences. He is punchy. He doesn't take long to end the sentence, barely use commas or any other things. The faster he finishes the sentence, the better for him. And that's his style. Now that we have defined voice and style, let's get into the tips on how to develop your own voice and style. First is read widely. This is an advice every writer will give you, and it's not only for you to develop your own writing style or writing voice, for you to just get better at writing. And even if you delete the writing from the picture, anything that you want to get better at, you have to see the other people that you admire do it first, and try to imitate them. So if you read widely, you will get an advantage of seeing the different voices and styles that exist out there and which ones resonate with you. And it's not like you're gonna be able to write like Hemingway in the exact same style voice. You're not, but you will take lessons from the way he does it, and your own style will develop and adds its own tweak. So if you like very short, economical, to the point sentences or styles or voice, then you will read someone like Mohamed. And if you like someone who is writing poetically, long, layered, and taking their time to appreciate the language for itself, then you will write Ta-Nehisi Coates is someone who writes like that. E.L. Doctorow is fantastic at that, who is known to be a New York City writer. They write in a way where you enjoy the writing for the writing itself. I mean, it feels like poetry sometimes. And from reading all these different authors, you will also understand the perspective by which they take to tackle the conflict problem that they are writing about. And this will also give you tools on how to tackle, the social issues, the political issues, or whatever subject matter that you care about that you want to seep into your writing. And I'll give you, for example, that I just noticed recently. If you take someone like Jamaica Kincaid, who wrote A Small Place, this is a book about vacations, but the perspective that she takes is from a colonial perspective. She talks about the effect of vacations, of the privilege of people from the West, from people from America or the UK, who have the money and the luxury to go overseas to an island and spend a week or two just vacationing, and in that weekend they don't even understand the politics of the place that they live in. They don't understand that the things that they can afford, the people in the places that are in will die for. But you take another book like Vagabonding by Rolf Potts, Potts. This is a book about how to go on vacation, but not short-term vacation like a week or two, but how to go to overseas to different places in the world and spend months over there. And he gives a different set of resources, from how to plan, how to budget, and how to find the places that you want to visit. Two different perspectives on how tackling the concept of vacations or traveling. You get to choose as a writer which perspective you want to develop for the story that you're currently writing. Tip number 2 is write regularly. For me, regularly is every day. But it doesn't mean that you work on a story or a novel every single day, but it means you have to write every single day something. This can be in a form of writing a story or a novel that you're working on, but it also can come in a form of journaling. But let me just take a step back into writing. I remember in my MFA program, in my creative writing program, a teacher told us, or he encouraged us, to write as many short stories as possible in the beginning, as opposed to novels, because he said that short stories give you the leverage of going through a writing cycle. So creating a story from the beginning, middle, and developing character, place, and everything that makes a story a lot faster than the novel. So your learning cycle, or the learning cycles that you can go through after writing multiple short stories, is much faster than when you start by writing a novel. Now, there is no rule that if you start with short stories you'll be a better writer when you write a novel, or the other way around. There's no rules to it, but the concept appealed to me. That's why I first started with writing short stories, and now I just developed maybe the confidence to start writing a novel. Now let's go back to journaling. Journaling, if you don't feel like writing that day, or I should say, if you don't find the time to write, to sit down for 30, 45 minutes or an hour to work on a story that you are writing, then journaling for 10 minutes is a very, very important replacement that you should get used to. Because just describing how you feel while you are going through the places that you recently visited, or the way something that you recently learned, is a very, very important writing practice, because it will teach you more about yourself, but it will also keep the pen going. The more you write, the better you will get. That's it. And I should say, when you are journaling, you're not thinking about your audience, so you can see your voice and your style of writing a lot better when you're writing about yourself than when you're writing, a story or a novel, or whatever the case might be, because you are more direct with yourself. You don't have that sense of expectation that someone will read this, so you're able to learn a lot from it. Also, you can do structured questions. These are questions that one of my writing teachers used to do during the writing program, which is taking a few structured questions from it's sort of like a prompt from Alan Watts, the 90-day novel, and the prompt will say, for 5 minutes, write about your main character. The sentence will start, today I feel horrible because, and then you write 5 sentences. Or my perspective on love is, and then you write 5 sentences. It's just a writing prompt that gets you writing, and those are easier because you're not thinking about what you should write or what thing that you have to, what scene that you have to write today. It's just a quick way for you to get some words down, and I've experienced this too. From these structured questions or prompts, I found stories that I ended up writing fully as a short story. Tip number 3 is experiment as much as possible. And in the beginning, a lot of us experiment with whatever we are comfortable with. But I would encourage you to write things that you are not familiar with. If you are a economical, very fast, very less emotional writer, then try writing like Toni Morrison, try writing like Ta-Nehisi Coates. Write in a more poetic, long-winded language. It's not gonna hurt you, but you will discover if you really like it or it was just a blind spot that you did not see. If you write poetically, then you can write short, economical, sentences. But there is a book that I would highly recommend everyone to read, and it's called How to Write a Sentence by Stanley Fish. I've read that book like 3 times, and it talks about the different type of sentences, not all of them, but the most common ones, and how to even practice developing those style. When you do the exercises that the book suggests, you understand that a sentence is nothing but a vehicle for you to deliver your information, and it can be manipulated based on whatever you're trying to deliver. That's it. It's not that complicated. Tip number 4, which is how we all or most of us naturally learn or discover our styles and voices, is by imitating the writers that we admire. This is the best method that you can ever allow yourself to use. And I have a friend who literally will take a story that he loved, like a short story, and he will literally dissect the whole thing in parts. He will say, all right, part 1 started with this hook, the character was introduced here, and we'll take the whole story and break it down. Then we'll take that same story and rewrite it from a different perspective, keeping the structure of the story. By examining the story so much, he learns the style, the writing, the voice of the writer, and he replicates it from his own perspective. The point of the matter is, if you take one story that you really love and try to rewrite it from your own perspective with adding your own sort of twist to it, then you will learn enough about the writer's style and voice that you will discover what you don't like about it, what you don't, and how you twist it and change it for it to become yours. Tip number 5, and this is the most important one: listen to people giving you feedback, or seek feedback for your own writing. Trust me, people will tell you or will teach you about your writing more than what you will learn by yourself. They will point out at the things that you do very well, and those things were in the periphery of your vision. You did not even think that you were good at writing in this particular way. And they will also point out the things that you don't do so well and for you to work on. The other side of the coin of this is that give a lot of people feedback on their own work, because reading and examining other people's work will also teach you what you want to steal from them, what you notice, the similarities between what you do and what they do, and how to develop the things that you want to develop and that they do better. Best thing about having a group of writers who are friends is that you get to learn from reading and giving feedback on their work as much as listening to the feedback they give you about your own work. The learning cycle is endless, and this is what's beautiful about, even if it is hard, seeking people or having friends who are writing the same, not the same style, but who are writing also, who are passionate about the thing that we are, all passionate about. That's it for now. These are all the tips that I have for developing your own voice and style. And remember, the more you write, the more you get to know about yourself and about what you are passionate about and about your own voice and style. Just keep writing. Thank you for watching, and until the next one.